12-team playoffs debuting this season, Chad. That's applause as well.
Yeah, let's keep it going.
Absolutely.
We got our predictions
Standing
covered.
ovation.
Yeah, this is great. Good show, everyone.
We will not be applauding anything to do with Megan Rapinoe and wanting Colin Kaepernick to be the flag bearer.
GTFO on this opinion. Come on.
Does anyone care anymore?
This is an opinion.
When you mention the name?
This is an opinion. I feel bad even discussing it because this is clearly an opinion to incite other opinions that are going to be very down on this one opinion. But I'll let you explain the opinion we're talking about here, Hutton.
I'm curious who would sit and listen to this podcast of Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird.
I would love to see, back to Colin, I would love to see Colin be able to represent America in an Olympics. I think that would be an unbelievably special moment.
Colin Kaepernick getting a gold medal.
He's my flag bearer.
Medal.
So I think that that would be really incredible to have that representation of America also be front and center at an Olympics. That would be really cool.
Whatever. No chance.
I mean, it's a very intimate podcast. I feel like I'm right there in the living room with Megan Rapinoe,
PBS or NPR,
and Sue Bird.
Fireside chat.
I feel like if I was invited, I never would get this invite, but if I was invited to their house for a dinner party, I feel like that's the conversation I'd be a part of. He's my flag bearer.
Colin Kaepernick?
My flag bearer. It's like not my Batman when someone's cast in the role. My flag bearer, not my flag bearer. Can be anyone but Colin Kaepernick. Screw the war veteran that might get the job of being flag bearer in 2028. My flag bearer will always be Colin Kaepernick, who knelt for the flag.
So is it now she's against a transgender taking Colin Kaepernick's spot to do the flag bearing?
This is also it's just further proof.
That'll be something in a month. She'll
that
say on the podcast.
all the people that constantly talk about unity and if we just treat people like humans, just be a human. Everybody just be a human. If everybody's a human, then the world's going to be a better place, and love each other and love your neighbor, and let's love on each other, and let's stop with the rhetoric, and let's stop with the hyperbole, and we're all one country and we're not divided. And the moment they get a chance, and this is Megan Rapinoe, to say something divisive and do something that normally would be something to unite America. Hell, a la LeBron James, when people applauded LeBron James as the flag bearer. Hey, LeBron was in the mood to unite people. He wasn't saying divisive things in the Olympics. He went out and helped win a damn gold medal for the United States, and he behaved extremely well as a flag bearer. I applaud him. Hats off to LeBron James in that moment. No. Can't be even a LeBron James. My flag bearer, according to Megan Rapinoe, is Colin Kaepernick. A guy who, whether you agree with him or hate his guts for his stance politically, wherever you stand on it, there's one fact. He divides. He is a divisive figure. So you who are all about love and unity and bringing people together now are endorsing something during the Olympics that brings the world together in the spirit of healthy, friendly competition. You wish to divide. So don't send me the BS. Don't talk about the BS. You want things divided. If you're sitting there on your podcast, I want this part of America represented. Well, what do you mean by this part of America? I thought we're all one America. I thought we're all nice. I thought everybody needs to be human. No, you want it to be divided. That's a divisive move. So for everything that Megan Rapinoe wants to say about Donald Trump being divisive and using poor rhetoric and not using the right words and these things, a lot of it's true, by the way, that she says. Don't sit there and pretend that you really want unity. You want things divided. It benefits you. It benefits Megan Rapinoe. So she's going to go on her podcast that I'm like you, Hutton, would not listen to, and endorse an asinine idea like giving Colin Kaepernick the American flag and letting him go try to win a gold medal in flag football at 39 years old in the LA Olympics.
Think about having to listen to the podcast there and wait for something to then say that Megan Rapinoe said. You know?
Oh, gosh. You're talking about being the person that has to, listen for news on our podcast?
But that's not even news.
To wait it out?
To me, it's just, it's just putting bait in the water.
Yeah.
It did sound a bit like, you remember Garrison Keillor and the Lake Wobegon stories?
A little bit.
The news
yeah. I know
Lake
you're talking about that, yeah.
the fictional town where like the women are strong, the men are good looking, and all of the children are above average. And so it's always great news from Lake Wobegon.
So every time I
It's
hear,
that's like the NPR vibe that I get.
okay, so I'm going to say 2 words, Hutton.
Yeah.
And I want to play this.
I had to
audio
listen to
again.
that, by the way.
That's a good one.
When I was in 6th grade.
Yeah,
they would play this.
That's a good one. I got 2 more words for you, and I want you.
Go ahead.
I want you to think about these 2 words
Okay.
in this moment in time on a popular sketch comedy show. When you hear the audio we're about to play,
Okay.
sweaty balls.
Oh, yes.
Now let's play this one more time, please.
I would love to see, back to Colin, I would love to see Colin be able to represent America
Yes.
in an Olympics. I think that would be an unbelievably
Imagine
special
Colin
moment.
Kaepernick getting a gold medal.
He's my flag
Bronze
bearer.
medal.
So
Delicious dish.
I think that
The
that
name
would
of this.
be
Yes,
really
delicious
incredible
dish.
to have that representation of America also be front and center. at an
Margaret
Olympics.
Jo
That would be
McCullough.
really cool.
And Terry Rialto.
Boy, vocal fry is a real thing too.
They welcome
The moment I heard
Baker Pete Schwetty.
Yeah, Pete Schwetty, Alec Baldwin,
Yeah.
played by Alec Baldwin. Someone that really agrees with Megan Rapinoe also. Could be a guest. Probably has been a guest on that podcast before, Alec Baldwin, in real life. You know, Alec
Judged
Baldwin,
throughout his
terrific
trial.
performer and
Did he?
great on that show also. One of the best SNL hosts ever. That
man.
yeah, the vocal fry thing too, once I heard about it,
Yeah.
with women
With Stern,
speaking.
was it Stern that pointed this out?
Yes, I really hear it there with Megan Rapinoe. It's crazy.
Yes.
Anyway.
You know, what do you think about?
We want to unite people around football here, Hutton. I'm serious about unity.
Is it weird that, especially in the Mid-South, normally, you know, the Southern accent, I can translate for people because of where I'm from,
Yeah.
right? The whole Haktua phenomenon, I have a hard time figuring out half the time what she's saying.
When
on
she's
all
doing
these
an interview?
clips, on these reels, yeah.
She was on Bill Maher, not the TV show, but his podcast. She was a guest on his podcast. I saw. She threw out a
Was
first
it-
pitch to Mets game. Haley Welch.
Is she entertaining?
I mean, we could. She's here. Like, I feel like we could book Hawk Tour girl. It's not like she's saying no to interviews right now. Who's her publicist?
I don't
Does
know.
she have a team already around her?
How do you find the publicist right after that? You know, your 15 minutes of fame.
I mean, I
and
think
how
you
do you
just-
select which way you're going to go with who you hire?
I think you slide up in her DMs. Is how you book her on a show. I'm willing to bet she checks her DMs.
Oh, I'm guaranteed.
Yeah,
but
that's
there's
how
a
you get her
lot
on
of
the show.
messages there. Is what I'm saying.
So what would be fun, Hutton, is we get her
Whoever
in,
she selected is doing a great
we
job.
get her in studio and we have an interpreter.
No, I mean, I want to try to. I feel like I do a decent job. Sometimes I have to listen twice. Most of the time, and you're probably the same way, you don't have to listen twice, where many other people would. That's part of the fun in it, I guess.
It's very easy to understand what a Southern person is saying if it's a slow-talking Southern person.
That's a good point.
The
You
fast-talking
mentioned the vocal
Southern
fry
person,
combined with all of
she
it.
is a fast-talking, almost rap artist of a Southerner.
Human Adderall.
So it's very hard to understand her
Yeah.
at times when she gets rolling.
Agreed.
And I do mean rolling, literally. She's literally rolling as she's speaking, and that's harder to interpret. I like that occupation for you, though, Hutton, and me. The Southern interpreter. To our friends with no accent from anywhere in the country or a Northern accent, we will be there
Davey.
for you to interpret Southern.
Who's the who's the receiver that is with Carolina right now?
Oh, Xavier Leggett.
Leggett. That is Ed O-esque
Yeah.
difficult.
He's tough, but he's also slow talking. So I think he's easier. Ed O, difficult because he talks so fast.
And yeah, there's more of a mumble and a roll to it.
Right. And he's a fast talker.
Yes. Chad, we made it. We
Xavier
made it to
Leggett.
week 0. Kickoff tomorrow, noon Eastern. Florida State, Georgia Tech in the Peak. The Peak. We've made it to college football season. But we need more than this one game, don't we?
Hutton, would you like a little history lesson on week 0 and why week 0 is a thing?
I would love to figure out why we do
I love
this.
history. I love facts. Let's get into the facts here. Week 0 started in 1983. The simple explanation for week 0 in college football is it was implemented by the NCAA as a way for schools that play Hawaii to cut costs, to give them a buffer week of travel. So if you played Hawaii, you could play them in week 0 on the road, or if you played Hawaii during the regular season, you could schedule any game in week 0 to offset that cost. So it was a Hawaii-based thing. If you notice, there's some Hawaii opponents playing in week 0 this year. So it started as that.
Did Delaware State make it to Hawaii after missing their flight?
That's a good question. I don't know. Didn't even know they missed their flight. But so you have week 0, that was a Hawaii thing. Then it became, for whatever reason, the first ever week 0 game was 1983. And it's got to be neutral site. I do know that. But I thought it was supposed to be international. It was not in 83. Nebraska went to the Meadowlands in New Jersey and whipped Penn State 44-6 to open the 1983 season in week 0. Labor Day weekend, we know of it as the start of college football. That's traditional. That's every year. That's week 1. Week 0, the week before. Now that we got all that out of the way, we know about these games in Ireland that's taken place. You had Notre Dame play Navy a year ago. A couple years ago, you had Northwestern versus Nebraska, which was the beginning of the very end for Scott Frost at Nebraska.
Yep.
We've had different games played in Ireland. Could you find a better game than Florida State and Georgia Tech, an ACC game to start the season in Ireland? Sure, you could. I would argue, though, an 11.5-point line isn't bad for a game to start the season. This could be a big upset to start the year, and Georgia Tech could make this thing very, very interesting.
They've covered recently against them.
So it could be better. Here is what I asked for in this week. And I know beggars can't be choosers. Give me 1 to 2 more games. That's it. We have an 11 a.m. game. If we could find a place to play, I don't care if it's in Mexico City.
You're saying good games.
Just 1 to 2 more games like Florida State, Georgia Tech. I don't need USC, LSU.
Or just...
All right, I don't need
week 0.
I don't need Clemson, Georgia. I'm saying the biggest games in week 1. Give me Penn State, West Virginia, which is a little bit down the list in week 1. Give me 1 more of those. 1 to 2 more. Give me a late afternoon window or a primetime window in week 0. Let's make a different exception, even if it's not the international exception or the Hawaii exception. Give me 1 more neutral site game. Give me a game in Mexico City. Give me a game in Toronto. Between Syracuse and Michigan State. I don't care. Give me something
North
like that.
North Dakota State, Colorado.
Something more. And that's a great Thursday night opener, too. Just give me something more this week. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to record it. I'm going to watch College Game Day and Nick Saban's debut. I'm going to watch apparently a very hungover Pat McAfee after his performance today in Dublin, Ireland, very drunk on a show.
Or is it drunk or
I'm going to watch all those things, both, because he's been pounding stout beers and Irish whiskey the whole time. I'm gonna watch it no matter what. I'm going to record it, but just 1 more would be great.
Did you talk about Caitlin Clark?
Maybe he's drunk enough to. We often talk about things we shouldn't when we're drunk. So maybe God spoke to him again and said now he can talk about Caitlin Clark.
Delaware State did make it to Hawaii. So their bus broke down or something, and they missed their flight. And
I was going to say, I know they can't bus to Hawaii.
They had
they're busing to the airport.
Direct flight to Hawaii that they missed.
I'm guessing from Philly? I'm trying to think of where Delaware State would bus to the airport. Probably Philly.
Yeah.
Philly direct to Hawaii? It's quite the flight.
That's what they had set up. Now, instead, the Hornets, by the way.
Yeah.
One
of my favorite teams to play with on college EA Sports College Football back in the day.
Oh, okay.
One of the options you could play with.
They arrived in Honolulu after 3 separate flights, having to depart Wednesday morning instead of on Tuesday. So they did make it. But they went from Philadelphia or Baltimore. Let's see, the trip now costs more. Hawaii's only paying them $180,000 for this game.
Which they're spending probably every bit of that to play it.
Especially now, 5,000-mile trip. And they were going to do it. They're flying out of JFK in New York. Anyway.
Yeah, it says the trip from Baltimore or Philly is nearly 5,000 miles.
There was an internal scheduling malfunction in the reservation system.
The closest option, Hutton, they prefer to take a direct flight. The closest option was from JFK in New York to take a direct flight. So they were actually busing to New York City. To Queens, I guess, is where JFK is located.
To then go to Hawaii.
We have flown one time to JFK. Normally LaGuardia, but I remember one time we flew to New York on a business trip through JFK.
Hawaii's paying Northern Iowa $165,000 to get there. Anyway, that's interesting to me because of all the other payments that these programs are taking to play these money games.
Yeah, give me one more game. That's all I ask.
Or just don't do week 0. Have everything kick off. Like, there's all this is like having it's not as bad, not even close. But it's like the games in South Korea for Major League Baseball, and then acting like that wasn't opening day.
Yeah.
It's like by the time we get to the opening Saturday of week 1, college football, the product itself, will be on national TV how many times?
I'm against that.
I don't like that.
I want something on week 0. I don't want it to become something so big that it takes away from week 1. So there has to be a very small balance. That's why I'm saying just one more.
What if
and
they
I don't
set
want
it up?
I don't want it to be the biggest game. I don't want it to be, Georgia Clemson or USC LSU that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe a Penn State West Virginia level, maybe
The remedy to this?
a Virginia Tech Vanderbilt, in week 0, something like that. That's 2 Power 5 teams playing, but not the best 2 Power 5 teams playing in a matchup.
The remedy to this may come with the Super Conference, because then you can have your champion open up your season the following year, a la Kansas City Chiefs.
I think once we have a Super Conference, we're not going to have a week 0. I think those games are going to be pre-scheduled starting a Labor Day weekend, and there will be Thursday and Friday night games.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I think it'll be both, a Thursday and Friday night big game.
What's the Monday night game this year? Because we have the Sunday night game, don't we? Yes, we do.
Yeah, it's usually
that's LSU, USC.
It's usually an ACC game, but that might be this year Florida State and Georgia Tech.
Okay.
So I'll look it up and find out. Let's see.
Maybe they went Sunday instead.
Boston College, Florida State, another ACC game.
Okay.
Boston College, Florida State in Tallahassee.
Man,
7:30
FSU
Eastern
is getting the Colorado
ESPN.
treatment early on with their schedule.
Yeah, they get a nice little break coming back. They get a couple of extra days to recover.
Are there 10 games tomorrow? Do you have a top 10 game of the week?
No. Don't act rash. Don't act rash.
There's several games. There's not good games.
There's 5. I think there's 5 total.
Oh, that
Florida
we can actually watch?
Florida State, Georgia Tech. Here are the games. There's 4. 4 all day. Florida State, Georgia Tech, Montana State, New Mexico. That is our guy, Tim Brando's game.
That's
on
okay.
FS1.
That's Brando's game, yeah.
Montana State, New Mexico, SMU, Nevada on CBS Sports Network, Delaware State, Hawaii. Those are the 4 games.
All right, yeah. Vandy should always have to play week 0. That should be their deal.
Well, they did 2 years in a row because of – well, no, actually, they played week 1. No, it was week 0 last year at home, too.
Yep.
They got Hawaii both years in week 0.
Anthony Richardson, he's been playing some in the preseason. Played, 3 series? 5 series, I believe, last night, and did not play well. Did score a touchdown, threw a pick, and this is coming off of a week where he's mocked by the Cincinnati Bengals defense and their joint practice openly. All he does is run. He's throwing to a specific spot on plays. It doesn't sound great for the Colts' number 4 overall pick and franchise QB, who appeared in 5 games a year ago, and whose coach has said, yeah, we don't mind if he wants to continue to run all the time. We're not going to take that away from him. We're going to continue to encourage Richardson to run. This is a big storyline because of his development, how young he is, and the process of choosing him in that draft for a team that has gone all in, needing to find that next quarterback. We haven't seen nearly enough because he's been hurt, but it's been a quiet training camp for the Colts. And their general manager, he's definitely on the hot seat. They have a owner in Jim Irsay who is aloof, who knows what he's going to do or say or not do or not say in certain instances. And then Shane Steichen, who, touched the cloak of Jalen Hurts on that great run to the Super Bowl year. And now he's the head coach in Indianapolis trying to do the same thing and run that same type of offense with Anthony Richardson. Did you hear some of the things that the Colts defenders were saying?
The Colts defenders or the Cincinnati defenders?
The Cincinnati defenders
to the Colts.
about the Colts quarterback.
Yeah, they said, is that all he does is run?
Yeah, and saying like he's throwing to spots. Throw the damn ball, bro, instead of just taking off. I mean, it sounds a lot like Malik Willis from 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I also like, and 2 weeks ago. I also like the fact that when anybody talks trash about someone when they're right next to them but acts like they're not there, I appreciate this from Cincinnati, talking to other Colts players. Is that all he does is run? But ask the question where Anthony Richardson can hear it. That's next level trolling on the field.
And to the fans that were there.
Here's what bothers me about Anthony Richardson and why I like a lot of things about his demeanor and about what he says in front of a microphone. There are certain things that I do not like at all. Here's one of them. And I've heard it multiple times this preseason. I heard it again after his imbalanced performance last night. That's what he is. That is his career. He is inconsistent as hell. He shows you one glimpse of a guy who might be the best quarterback in the NFL and may have been the best quarterback in all of college football, and it could even take place over the course of an entire game, the entire week, 2 weeks. And then he goes back to someone who's not good and is very inconsistent. That's who he is at this point. He's an inconsistent quarterback. So I don't want to hear from the inconsistent quarterback after a game when asked about people talking about his inability to throw consistently and runs too much and all this, and just laugh it off and say, oh, people have been saying that stuff about me my whole career. I just laugh it off and move on.
Well,
bro, that's who you are.
But his career.
They say that because it's who you are. Like, change their mind.
He played in 13 college football games.
Exactly my point.
But they've been saying that my entire career.
He said my whole life. He said people have been talking bad about me my whole life, and look where I am. I just brush it off and keep going. I understand that's a trope of the athlete to say that. But
yes.
My point is when someone says you take off running too much, your passing is inconsistent,
right.
You look brilliant at times as a quarterback, you look completely inept at other times as a quarterback, and there's too stark a contrast between the two. There's no balance. There's no consistency. That's who you are as a quarterback. So they've been saying it because it's true. That's who Anthony Richardson is right now. And I don't want to hear about, I just brushed off because that's what they've been saying. They've been saying it because it's true, dude. Be better.
Well, and
he's got to stay healthy to be better, too.
That's it. That he's going to run and lower the shoulder or get tackled and fall on the shoulder again. This from Geno Stone, one of the Bengals safeties.
Great name.
He's just throwing to spots. He doesn't see his receivers. And he was yelling that at a point in practice. I mean, they're just mocking the whole thing. And then Kirk Herbstreit's bringing it up in their dress rehearsal preseason game for Amazon last night, saying, hey, Joe Flacco's now the backup. And if it doesn't go well early, what does Shane Steichen and the decision makers of Indianapolis do at that point? I'm sorry, but he's the number 4 overall pick. And I watched and listened to what Kirk is saying, and it's a conversation piece he's having with Al Michaels, saying, it's a pretty good roster for the Colts. They need this guy to be the guy. If he's not the guy, it's not like you don't have a backup quarterback who can come in and spin the football. We saw what he did at the end of the season last year for Cleveland. But you can't bench Anthony Richardson. You've got to go all in at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. You don't bench him. The only way you bench him is if the season is over. And if the season's over because you've lost so many, then why bench him at that point? Play him out. See what I'm saying?
But the season, think about last year in the AFC. There was one team who was eliminated from the playoffs mathematically, going into week 14 or 15. It was right before Christmas. It was New England. They were the first team eliminated from the postseason. Everyone was in. The Colts were in it going into the final week of the season. So I don't see a scenario where he's benched because he's just so bad.
Well, and if
inconsistent.
If he's so bad, that's the problem with it.
Steichen's got to be.
You only pull the number 4 overall quarterback if you're like 0-7. But if you're 0-7, your season's over anyway. So just play it out. It'd be one thing if you're just saying we're a playoff team and this young quarterback is holding us back, and we're just treading water right now, and the backup Joe Flacco can let us take off and make sure we're a playoff team.
Right.
If that's the case, that's how you do it. But you don't. Because to get to that point where you want to pull him, your season's likely over anyways.
Yes.
So then just let him play it out.